Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The PGA Open, PGA Championship happening at Valhalla in Louisville, Kentucky. Notice those of you in Kentucky, I said it, Louisville. You got to sound like you got marbles in your mouth to correctly pronounce the city. Louisville. I cracked myself up. It's not Louisville or Louisville. It's Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky. I'm offending the people in Louisville right now. So, this has become, okay. Side note, tangent. Open line Friday, 877-973-7425. That's not the side note, the tangent. Side note, the tangent is every day I have woken up this week and thought, doggone it, it's a slow news week. And then something happens. I did not in a million years think the something that would happen is at 5:45 this morning, the number one golfer in the world, who's also considered like the nicest guy in golf and the boringest golfer in America, gets arrested trying to get to the clubhouse. Let me give you the facts of the situation. So someone tried to walk across the street, was hit and killed sometime overnight in Louisville, Kentucky, outside or very near the Valhalla golf course where the PGA Championship is happening. And at 5:45, traffic is still blocked. There are police officers out there in their rain gear, yellow vests, and unmarked cars with a long line of traffic. Scottie Scheffler, the number one golfer in the world, who's also, by the way, a sleep-deprived new dad, at 5:45 in the dark, in the rain, needs to get to the golf course. The championship was going to start at 7:30 this morning. He swerves out from the traffic up the median in his car. The officers stop him, and he tries to go forward a little more. He doesn't understand what they're saying, apparently, and the guy starts beating on his window with a flashlight, at which point Scheffler steps on the gas for a second, jumps before hitting the brake, and the officer apparently had $80 worth of damage, destroyed his pants, and it appears that the officer pooped his britches, and he claims he was dragged, hurt, injured, and hospitalized with lacerations to his left hand and injury to his knee. Now, what you should note is there were eyewitnesses who say that the officer was not dragged to the ground by Scottie Scheffler. In fact, one of those eyewitnesses was a reporter who says that it does appear that Scheffler thought that this was the Valhalla security because it was unmarked cars and the police officers were not readily identifiable as police. They were in raincoats with the yellow vests, and it appeared they might have been signaling Scottie Scheffler at 5:45 in the morning and misunderstood them, trying to get him to stop, as to they knew who he was and was directing him a certain path. He tried to go that way. The officer jumped onto his car, spooking Scheffler, who the officer then drags him out of the car, immediately puts him in handcuffs. Only 20 minutes later, do the police know who they've just arrested. The particular police officer is furious, and they take Scottie Scheffler to jail. They fingerprint him, they book him, they mugshot him. And the owner of the Valhalla golf course has to come get Scottie Scheffler out of jail. Now, Scheffler has released a statement or talked to the press and said he is very, very sorry about the incident. He really was confused. He misunderstood what was happening. He did think it was the Valhalla golf course people. Didn't realize until late what was happening. I got to tell you, it's predictable that immediately what's going on here is this racial issue, and he's a white boy privilege, and everybody's turning it into a political thing. I saw Ben Shapiro tweet, if it was Tiger Woods, we would have weeks of conversations about systemic racism in the country. But with Scheffler, we're starting to have that as well. People can't nuance the situations anymore. Yeah, this actually is a topic we're talking about, because immediately what's happening is a lot of people came out and said, this is clearly a misunderstanding. It's 5:45 in the morning. The guy is trying to get to the golf course. The police are in unmarked cars. They're not clearly identifiable as police given the rain gear and the yellow vest that they're wearing. Clearly, there's a misunderstanding here. And progressives are like, you wouldn't say that if it was a black guy. You would be on the side of the police. Aren't you on the side of the police? It's weird how people want to take their politics into this. It's very much like Harrison Butker in his speech. It is extremely clear that the commentators on CNN and a lot of the other people out there in the press who are lashing out at Butker's speech, they never listen to his speech. It is really clear that a lot of the people who are opining on it have no real idea what he said. They're just commenting based on what people who hated his speech had to say. That's pretty telling. In this situation with Scottie Scheffler, I mean, just these are the facts. It's 5:45 in the morning. It is pouring down rain. It is dark. The police do not have police cars. They have unmarked cars that look like the security cars that the people at the Valhalla golf course use. Scheffler has to get to the golf course, does not know that someone's been hit and killed on the road, assumes this is traffic to go to the golf course where there's a massive crowd queuing up to get in. And so he tries to bypass, sees the security detail for Valhalla, so he thinks, who start motioning him, and then only later does he realize it's the police. He was extremely confused. The reporter who was at who was eyewitness to this says he did not drag the police officer on the ground, contrary to what other press reports are reporting, that Scheffler was completely confused, did not understand why he was being arrested, did not realize those people were police officers. And yet we got to have a commentary in this country. We can't just take the facts as they are, that this is a big misunderstanding. Instead, we got to have these soliloquies from progressives about how if he was a black guy, you would not be giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like hell, you don't know. You don't know anything. I mean, you people immediately jump to racial conclusions about everything. If he was not a famous golfer, you wouldn't care. How do you know? That says more about the people who are immediately jumping to these sorts of conclusions than about anyone else. It's a damning indictment on how they see everything through these political lenses. You can't just take the individual facts of the individual situations and say, well, you're just defending him because he's a golfer. You know, one of the side aspects of this, for those of you who don't keep up with golf, is Scottie Scheffler is the number one golfer in the world, and he is considered extremely boring. And the press people with the PGA have tried to push out stories about Scottie Scheffler saying, yeah, he looks boring, but actually he's really competitive. He's the biggest trash talker on the course. All he wants to do is win. The New York Times did a big profile of him the other day on how he was at his country club and it challenged two guys to a 1-versus-2 pickleball competition, convinced he could beat him, that he's ruthless on the basketball course. I know people who have lost money to Scottie Scheffler. That he, when he plays games of golf, he likes to bet on the scores, and people lose money to him all the time. And he's a big trash talker, apparently. Everybody I know who knows him, and I don't know many, but I know some who know him, say he is merciless and very, very funny on the golf course. So they're trying to spiff up his image, and holy moly, he did it for himself today. I see people referring to frat boy summer. Mug shots out now of John Daly, Shooter McGuffin, Tiger Woods, and Scottie Scheffler. If you don't know who Shooter is, well, you're going to have to Google. But this is the story of the day. My frustration with the story of the day is not that it happened. I mean, clearly there was a misunderstanding. It's dark. It's raining. I'm sure it'll be resolved in some way. What you do need to know is that had Scottie Scheffler murdered someone in Louisville, Kentucky, the police would have let him go and told him just to report back to get fingerprinted at some date convenient to Scottie Scheffler. The Louisville police force is not actually considered a very competent police force by the police forces of America. The city is managed by a bunch of just insane liberal people who screw up everything, the schools, the police force, the prosecutions, the judicial system. It's not a safe city anymore. Crime has gone down. You've seen a lot of white flight. They've tried to make it a racial issue. Louisville, interestingly enough, is the only area of Kentucky that does not have a state police outpost. And when Daniel Cameron, running for governor, campaigned on adding a state police outpost in Louisville, Kentucky, the people of Louisville freaked out that they did not want law enforcement in their city. They got a police force, and they freaked out. They didn't want law enforcement in their city. That should tell you everything you need to know about this situation. It's just crazy. Oh, and so here we go. A caller just called in, didn't want to get on air, and said Kentucky actually, by law, decided they didn't want the police cars to look like military vehicles, so they passed a law so that they have to look like civilian vehicles. So they do, again, I mean, this has come out of the reports that the vehicles looked just like the vehicles the security at Valhalla was using, and they were unmarked. They didn't say police on them. So now here's what's going to happen. This is all very predictable. This was a big misunderstanding. Scottie Scheffler will write a check to the Police Benevolence Association or something. He'll apologize directly to the police officer. The charges will be dropped. He'll buy the police officer new non-poop covered pants. And then you'll have hand-wringing in the New York Times about how famous white guys get away with it. They won't care about the facts. They really won't care about much of anything. They will just use this, again, to hand-wring over their preconceived agenda. They'll drag Scheffler through the mud. They'll ignore the facts of it. Now, there's one thing I want to come out of this. There's one thing more than any other that I think should happen. Scottie Scheffler won the Masters in April. So the tradition at the Masters is the very next year, the winner of the prior year's Masters, they have a big banquet for him, and he gets to cater the menu. Now, the last time Scottie Scheffler won the Masters, it was a big barbecue affair. He had brisket and pie and barbecue, and I mean, it was a great meal. Had like smoked chicken and brisket and other Texas Fair sausages. This coming year, this coming April, at the Masters, Scottie Scheffler should cater prison food and have everybody eat on trays with those plastic forks and spoons, the sporks that they give you in prison. That's what he needs to do. He needs to cater prison food, slop, cater slop for the Masters this year. Put it on the big prison trays with the sporks and make people eat the prison food. That would be absolutely fantastic. The guy apparently has a great sense of humor. He should totally do it. And also, maybe invite the police officer who pooped his britches trying to arrest Scottie Scheffler. This is still the craziest thing to me, is that it took them, they had to ask the reporters who it was they arrested, because the reporters knew immediately that this was a very big deal, and the police had no clue whatsoever what happened. This is your big story on Friday, which tells you how little news there is. Dragging Sam Alito's wife and Scottie Scheffler dragging a police officer. But the President of the United States has also decided he needs to hit the campaign trail to woo black voters back to him, and we'll talk about that too.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
It is an Open Line Friday. The phone number is 877-973-7425. As always, if you text the word ENGAGE to 33777, what you will get back is a link for the gathering. It's going to be in August 8th through the 11th. The big days are the 9th and the 10th. It'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, where we take the online and radio audience and get together in person, hang out, have a drink, listen to some of the leading conservative luminaries of the conservative movement. Kevin Hearn, the congressman in charge of the Republican Study Committee, he's from Oklahoma. He's going to be joining us at the gathering. We just got that confirmation. We're waiting to hear back on Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott and others. I know Brian Kemp is going to be with us. Doug Ducey of Arizona is going to be with us. It'll be a great lineup. Mike Pence, former vice president, he's going to be joining us. All you have to do is text ENGAGE to 33777. Text the word ENGAGE to the number 33777, and you can get a ticket and be with us. It's going to be a great time in Atlanta. We're also going to have some conversations about the future of the conservative movement and about the role of technology, because all this fretting about AI that's out there right now. Listen. I'm not going to say their names. You got Alexa, which I can probably say safely here. It's not going to trigger. But the dingus on your phone, and you say, "Hey, dingus, call so and so," or play this song, or they're idiots. And as much as I love Apple, I am in the cult of Apple. Apple's dingus is probably the dumbest dingus there is. And now they're weaving OpenAI and ChatGPT and others into these services, trying to make them smarter. I just garbage in, garbage out. I don't think that they're going to take over the way people do. Look, I love technology. I genuinely love technology. I got the new iPad yesterday. Love it. I know I needed one. Mine is about 4 years old and is struggling to keep a charge with battery now, and I use it so much at the office I'd like to leave it here. But y'all, I don't believe the rise of the machines and AI are going to dominate us and stuff. Yeah, will people be fooled? There are people fooled today by the emails from Nigeria promising you billions if you hand over your bank account. There will always be people fooled, maybe more people, as it does get more credible. But by and large, no, I just don't think it's going to be nearly as dominant as people say. Will it be useful? Yeah, I think it will be useful. I also think, and this is the punchline, it's going to replace a lot of the upper income white collar people who've moved left more than the working class who have moved right. And those white collar people out of work because of AI, they're going to have all sorts of grievances that the Democrats aren't going to have solutions for, but Donald Trump will. That punchline right there is going to make it all just hilarious to watch this play out. While all of this is playing out and the economy does seem to turn, China's buying up all the gold, it seems like. 4 out of 5 ounces of every ounce of gold, so 4 out of 5 ounces of gold sold on the planet right now are being sold to the BRIC nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Most of that is being sold to China. They are getting ready for financial calamity in this country as we hit our fiscal cliff. Swiss America, that's why they want to help you protect your hard-earned assets right now. You can go get their special report, Secret War on Cash, which is spreading and applies to digital currency. All you have to do is text them, my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. Or you can call them. Talk to them. This report is completely for free from Swiss America. It is the Secret War on Cash. 800-289-2646. Just text them, Eric, to 800-289-2646. Or you can visit them at SwissAmerica.com/Eric. SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. One more time, the number 800-289-2646. Get the report completely free. Message and data rates may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you with me. I want to go to Jeremy calling Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Eric. How you doing this afternoon?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. I heard you speaking the other day in regards to the upcoming debate that Trump has agreed to on all the terms that Biden's put out there. But would you mind speaking on what's the advantages of Trump actually doing this? Because them putting him in court, keeping his mouth shut, limited time where he can talk to the public, it seems like things are going really good in his favor. That, we can see the trends are going in his favor. So why would Trump not just say, sure, I'm willing to debate, but let's do this after the DNC primary or the DNC convention, and then all the delegates are actually bound to him? Why not wait?
Okay. This is a great question. So here is the situation as I understand the dynamics. The president's team thinks that they need to get the debate done early so that if Biden has a bad debate, they can move on from it and try to change the narrative again. It's not about do it early and if he has a bad debate, drop out. They don't think he's going to drop out, and they actually think he's going to have a good debate. What they think is going to happen, what the Democrats think is going to happen, is that by having it early and without an audience, that Donald Trump's going to have a bad debate, that Trump feeds off the audience, and Trump is undisciplined enough that he's going to run past the microphone, and the microphone's going to keep cutting Trump off, because that's one of the specifications that Biden wanted Trump agreed to, is that the microphone will cut off when your time is up. And so the Biden team thinks they have stacked the deck. They've laid a trap for Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump is so arrogant that Donald Trump couldn't help but take the bait because Trump really didn't believe Biden wanted to debate him. So here come the terms. Trump agrees to everything, no negotiation, and that Trump is now, because of his arrogance, fallen into a trap. That's what the Democrats think. What the Republicans think, what I think, is that Donald Trump doesn't care. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump's performance is on the debate stage. It matters what Joe Biden's performance is, because when you look at the polling right now, the polling shows that a majority of Americans genuinely believe that Joe Biden is not mentally competent enough to be president of the United States, and Donald Trump is. So if Trump has a bad debate, well, it's Trump being Trump. But if Biden has a bad debate, it's just further confirmation of the fact that Joe Biden's a dementia-addled 80-something who isn't fit to be president of the United States. The Trump team sees no downside in having the debate right now, and the Democrats actually see a lot of downside, but they know they've got to have a debate, so you might as well have it as early as possible in case it doesn't go well. You've got recoverable time. They really, and this is the bottom line. You may see it this way, and I may, in fact, I do see it this way, that if Biden has a bad performance, it's going to up the ante on pushing him out the door before the convention. The Democratic strategists in Joe Biden's orbit do not see it that way. They fundamentally don't. They are convinced this is a good move. They've laid a trap for Trump, and Trump's so arrogant he fell for it. So does that really answer your question?
It does, but if things really go so bad, having the debate before the convention, that gives them the opportunity to say, okay, we don't want the VP, Kamala Harris, even though we all agree she'd be a fantastic, candidate, laugh. But why would we not at that point just prefer to push this off so that those delegates are bound to her?
Yeah,
because it would give them both the option out. Am I correct?
Yeah, so it would give him the option out. But here's the calculus, and I think everyone is right on this who believes this. There's no way the Democrats can avoid Kamala Harris if Joe Biden drops out. We may agree that she would be terrible for the Democrats, but to reject the first black female vice president of the United States who loyally stood by her dementia-addled old man as president, who called his administration the Biden-Harris administration, not the Biden administration, they cannot afford to ditch her because it would open a nasty nominating process, and the black women of America, who are the most loyal voter for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, would have a furious meltdown if they reject her. That's what's going on here, is they think there's no way Kamala Harris is not the nominee if Joe Biden drops out. And I think they're right on that.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, this is really important that you all hear me. I'm not telling you my opinion here. I'm telling you what these Democrats and Republican strategists are all thinking. You and I can disagree with them, but you need to at least understand what their thinking is. And I do talk to these people on both sides of the aisle. I have good relationships on both, and my job is to tell you what people are thinking, not just what I think. Here's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is that all the strategists on both sides are right, that they can't avoid Kamala Harris if Biden drops out. My opinion is the Democratic strategists are wrong when they think that Joe Biden it'll be recoverable. He can bounce back if he has a bad debate. I think it's just going to up the ante on he's got to go step aside. I think the Trump team actually made the right play. You let CNN do this. And by the way, it's going to be Dana Bash and Jake Tapper. I know them both. I like them both. I consider them both friends. I know a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives don't like them. They don't trust CNN. I'm not going to persuade you otherwise. I think you're wrong, but I'm not going to persuade you otherwise. What I do think is this. They're going to be hard on both of them. Because as much as you may think they don't like Donald Trump and they're going to want to go after Donald Trump hard, they're going to do the same to Joe Biden just so there is no argument that they weren't fair. If they're ruthless to Trump, they'll be ruthless to Biden, because Tapper and Dana Bash do actually want to be fair, and their fairness is going to come across as very hard questions to both sides, not ticklish questions to one and hard questions to the other. I know there are already lots of people out there saying, oh, but they're going to give the questions. They're going to give the questions. They've already done it. That was, if you believe the allegations, Donna Brazile gave Hillary Clinton questions related to a Bernie Sanders-Hillary Clinton debate, not the network itself. I won't disabuse people of the thoughts they have on the network. I will just say that I have a lot of respect for Bash and Tapper. They know they're going to get beaten up by whichever side loses the debate. But also, there's not going to be a crowd. And I'm so glad there's not going to be a crowd. The crowds at debates just have absolutely nothing to offer. Nothing to offer. And I myself very much believe that a debate without a crowd where they can ask substantive questions is going to be much better off. Now, I need to pause for a minute, and I'm going to apologize for every one of you outside of Georgia for going to need to apologize for all of you, to all of you. There's a primary next week in Georgia, and y'all can't see this, but I can see my call screening, and the phones keep lighting up, and I can see Charlie talking to the person, and then the person hangs up. And this has been happening now for several days, and all of these people calling are asking, who should I vote for? We got an election coming up. What do you think? Who should I vote for? I'm going to write something here in a little while. And I'm going to send it out on my Substack list of here's who I would support. And so y'all can stop calling Charlie. I'll push it out here in a little while. And if you would, please, all you have to do is you can text either Eric or the word data to 33777. Click that very top link and subscribe. You don't have to do the paid subscription. Just put your email in. It's free. You don't have to pay. It's free. Sign up for my Substack, and I will send out an email this afternoon after the show with the list of here's all the people that I would support in all these different races. I will try to make it as thorough as I can. I'm going to miss some, but there's one I need to point out to you. And this is where all of you who are not in Georgia can come back in and listen, because this is very important. Georgia has nonpartisan elections for judges, and there is one race in Georgia. It's a Supreme Court race. There's an incumbent justice. His name is Andrew Pinson. Andrew Pinson was appointed by Brian Kemp to the Georgia Supreme Court. There is a progressive activist named John Barrow who is running against him. John Barrow, in fact, is running an aggressive campaign for abortion rights. And John Barrow has now been admonished by the Judicial Qualifications Commission in Georgia that he's violating the ethics rules of judges by telling people how he would decide on cases, by essentially saying that he's going to advance abortion in the state of Georgia if he gets on the court. You're not supposed to do that as a judge. You're supposed to keep an open mind, and every case has different facts, and you're supposed to rule on the fact pattern in the case. But Barrow is saying it doesn't matter. He's going to expand abortion in the state. Now, let me give you the corollary. If you're okay with that, let me give you the corollary here. Can you imagine a judge running for the Georgia Court of Appeals saying, hey, I'm going to get there and I'm going to kill Fani Willis's case? I bet you people on the left would be pretty hacked off that someone would do that. That is prohibited by judicial ethics across the nation. You can't run for office saying, I'm going to rule a particular way in a particular case. You're not allowed to do that if you're a judge. And even the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld states enforcing that judicial code of conduct. But this is what John Barrow is doing. And so I at least want you to acknowledge your intellectual dishonesty if you're on the left. I know it pains you to do that, but you're going to support a guy to advance abortion, who campaigns on advancing abortion, who says that's what he's going to do if he's on the court. And you're okay with doing that for him because it's abortion. And you would be furious if someone on the right did that and said it was about stopping Fani Willis's case. You'd be furious, and you'd want the Judicial Commission to intervene. So don't come at me with intellectual honesty if you can't admit that you're not comfortable with that. And some of you will say, yes, I'm fine with that, because you've become very transactional. But that's what's happening here. Andrew Pinson is a great Supreme Court justice who deserves to be reelected because he actually refused. I mean, he's not even like doing political campaigning because he doesn't like the idea of a Supreme Court justice aggressively campaigning. That may work against him, in which case it's a damning precedent that John Barrow is setting, weaponizing and politicizing the judiciary in the state of Georgia. It's another reason Barrow should be voted against. You should not be supporting John Barrow. He is a progressive activist. He is being funded by progressive activists around the country to try to shift the Georgia judiciary to the left. It would be bad for businesses. It'd be bad for individuals. It'd certainly be bad for the rule of law. It would be bad in criminal cases where he would be very, very lenient on criminals who need to be put away. But his big issue is that he will rule for abortion whenever abortion comes up. And he's trying to run for office on that. In judicial elections, you should not be voting for people so willing to campaign on how they will rule on cases. You should want good ethical people, and that's not good ethics. Andrew Pinson's who you want to vote for in Georgia. You really do. Go to the bottom of the ballot, find the Supreme Court, vote for Andrew Pinson. It'd be a terrible precedent to set if he loses. Now, I got to move on. And again, if you text DATA to 33777, I will send you the list here in a little while of races that you should consider. Now, I want to tell you about Americans for Prosperity. They are around the country doing a bus tour called Prosperity is Possible. Prosperity is Possible is to remind you we already have the ideas to generate economic prosperity in the country. Those ideas are conservative ideas about limited government, regulatory reform, free markets, reduced taxes, family-friendly policies for competition in schools and the like. We know how to stimulate the economy. We know what works. And if you will involve yourself and show up and go to prosperityspossible.com, you can find out where the tour is in your area. Again, it's prosperityspossible.com. That's the website, prosperityspossible.com. And if you go there, you will see where the bus tour is. You can go hear from some great speakers around the country reminding you we know the keys to economic reform in this country. We don't need new shiny policy ideas. The tried and the true conservative policies have always worked and will work again to reduce inflation, get people back to work, and improve the economy. ProsperityIsPossible.com, brought to you by Americans for Prosperity.
With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra-soothing Rest Feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
Welcome back. Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. JT's got a phone call here. Welcome to the show, JT.
Good afternoon, Eric. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
First off, I want to, say congratulations to you and your wife with your daughter graduating last night, and I'm glad your wife was here, to see her complete that accomplishment. May she be here much years longer. From what you talk about her, she's a tough lady, man. So Lord bless her, she'll be here much longer. So
I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
You gotta be fine. Well, Eric, I think one of the things you and I have in common, other than being Gen Xers, I want to say, I guess I love when you talk about your growing up partially overseas in the Middle East and traveling, because I've traveled outside the country as well, but mostly to the Caribbean. And I thought it would be fun to play Spin the Globe, Eric. And my question would be, what countries around the world you think would like to see President Trump back in the White House, and how many? Now, I could take some off the board as I'm talking to you. I would say Israel, Japan, Taiwan, maybe Ukraine, I'll go Poland, maybe the Baltic states or NATO. But I think a lot of our allies would like to see him back compared to the mess and damage that the puppet in the White House has done. And, of course, Afghanistan is a mess, and now you have the situation with Gaza. So
right.
I guess with you, would there be a homework assignment for you to ponder, or should I say a game
listen,
that
I can tell you, the French and the Germans, not so much. The British, however, would very much like to have him back. The Eastern European countries would very much love to have Donald Trump back. And I'm not just talking like the Hungaries of the world. I'm talking the Czech Republics, the Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. They'd like to have him back. The Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, they would very much like to have him back. And India would actually like to have him back. He and Modi had a very much good relationship, much better than the relationship that Modi has with Biden. So, yeah, I mean, some major allies would very much like to have him back. I'll tell you who else would like to have him back: Taiwan.
Yes, that's one of my top.
Yeah. Taiwan finds that that it very much agrees with the Vladimir Putin criticism of Trump, that Trump is very unpredictable and Biden is very predictable, and so Putin very much likes the predictability of Biden. He knows what he's going to get. If he does X, Biden will do Y. He doesn't know what he's going to get with Trump, which is his concern.
And the weakness, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. So, yep, that's it, JT. Look, I got to let you go there. Thanks very much. 877-973-7425 if you want to be on the program. Very happy to have you. Open line Friday. If you text data to 33777, if you're in Georgia, in just a little while, you go subscribe. You don't have to pay, just subscribe. I'll send you the list of all the people that I recommend you vote. Well worth doing. But in the District 3 congressional race, my friend Philip Singleton, if not him, go with Mike Crane. And then Andrew Pinson for the Georgia Supreme Court. There are others. I'll send you all those so y'all can stop calling Charlie. When we come back, Joe Biden is begging black voters for their support.